building inspector, and we have the building inspector 2. Then the chief building official, CBO, has also been recently appointed as the drainage superintendent for the town. Two things to note are the planning position is currently vacant, and the building inspector position is currently vacant. We have the past building inspector currently filling in on a contract basis until February, but we will be replacing that position as well. So we're looking for a full complement in the coming future here.
I think you're all right, really.
Some of the major projects that we've completed for 2014 is the official plan. We've had the official plan at the municipal board for a number of years now. We've had the majority of the official plan has been approved at the board on July 18th, excluding the aggregates component of the official plan. And that is still before the board, but we're working with the aggregate industry to resolve that. We're hoping in early 2015 that will be resolved and we'll have the entire official plan approved before the board. The Rittenhouse subdivision was approved, and I'll take you through some pictures of these just so you can recall and seeing them. The Rosewood subdivision, the Ryan's Grove subdivision, and the East Font Hill zoning bylaw and official plan. And I'll take you through that in a second. So that is the Rittenhouse. That is the Rosewood. There's the Ryan's Grove. And that's the East Font Hill. Now, one thing I'd like to mention East Font Hill is the subdivision is currently under appeal, and I'll speak to that in a minute, but the official plan and the zoning bylaw have been approved by council. It came earlier this year, and council, it was not appealed. However, the subdivision, a condition of the subdivision was appealed and is currently before the board. Active applications that we're currently working on, and we hope to have a resolution or resolved by 2015. Saffron Meadows, which is just west of Rice Road. This one is East Font Hill project. River Estates subdivision, which is west of Rice Road, and that again is an East Font Hill project. Kunda Park Phase 4 subdivision, that's west of John Street, and that's just west of the East Font Hill area, but in all potential purposes, it will connect with the East Font Hill area. The Davis Heights condo, it used to be called Meritage Landing, and that's just east of Hay Street. 6 Churchill, which is proposed a 5-plex. 1022 Pelham Street, which originally proposed a gas station. 22 Port Robinson's, which is a residential conversion of the old Jehovah's Witness Hall. Just to refresh your memories and going forward, this is a copy of the working drawings of Saffron Meadows. That's working drawings of River Estates.
Mr. Chair, can the director just highlight the crossroads?
Mr. Director?
So River Road is based on the bottom, just for orientation, and Port Robinson. And then we have connector streets that will connect into Rice Road. I apologize, I don't have an overall plan for you all. River Estates, so Saffron, which I just taught you, is actually south. So if you go north, this is the mixed use area and Highway 20. So again, this is Rice Road, and this is Port Robinson. This is north of Port Robinson. Saffron was south of Port Robinson. Kunda Park is just to the west of the entire East Font Hill area. So although it won't directly connect to domino effect of developments, it's a part of the overall. One thing I'd like to point out is we have a parkette here, which is currently a block on the Kunda Park Phase 3 subdivision, but it will have impacts on Phase 4, and we're currently talking with the ministry to resolve some development issues with Phase 3, and then how we're going to resolve that with Phase 4. This is a general park concept of the trail network that would be within that park. Excuse me a second. And the development of the park is part of the question before the Ministry of Natural Resources of how we're going to do that and how it will integrate with the Phase 4 of the Kunda Park. This is the Davis Heights subdivision. This is a private condominium development, and it's currently on Hay Street. The lookout area is just to the west on the other side of Hay Street, just for your bearings. This is going to be an upscale development, primarily geared as what the developer has told me to to seniors or just prior to being seniors.
Why'd you look at me like that?
I think that's juniors.
Telling you it's too late for you.
6 Churchill, again, came in for a 5-plex rezoning. We had a number of public meetings and information sessions, and the public came out in mass to give their opinions on this site. The applicant is currently taking the information back and is considering his options as to how to proceed with this development. He has the right to come in and request the 5-plex and go through that process, or perhaps he will revise the proposal to something more palatable to the community. Again, we're waiting to see what that proposal is, and we'll move forward with it as soon as it comes in. This is 1022 Pelham Street, so we have Pelham Street and Welland. That's the intersection there. This came back a year or so ago to a proposed gas station. I believe the community was concerned about it as well. We've gone through probably 14 revisions of this site to get it to where it meets the community's concerns, yet meets the objectives of the town, and also meets the objectives of the developer who wants to obviously make a profit here because that's the business. So currently, although the application's not in, and I'll bring this ahead because I believe it will, and it's not going to taint the development, but the applicant is proposing to put residential abutting the residential instead of having the commercial and gas station right next to the houses. And we believe this will go a long way to satisfy the residents as well as make it a more useful site, because it is a rather large site for just the gas station purpose. That reduces some of the tire and oil change repair shop, which is somewhat of a nuisance in a residential neighborhood from the ratchet noises and that. So it puts a profit in the developer's pocket, yet makes a good development that everybody can live with and benefit from. The gas station is still proposed in here. We're looking at traffic impacts. We're looking at how the intersection is designed, as well as using elements of the East Font Hill urban design guidelines on this site as well, bringing the buildings up closer to the street so that it's a more urban type setting as you enter into Pelham.
So Terrence, just so, sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, going back there, is he proposing townhouses? Is that what I'm looking at along there?
The development's not yet defined. We're showing townhouses, we're proposing townhouses at this time I don't believe a site plan will be coming in for that at this point in time. They'll be designated residential, from what I understand, and then they have his own site plan application later on.
So he's still pushing for the gas station?
The gas station is something that's they want, yes.
Okay.
So we just to finish that thought. We've done everything we can to try to minimize. We've placed buildings in front of the
Oh, I
street.
see that.
Yeah, so from the planning's point of view, we think we're going into this with a good design, but we'll further explain that when the site plan comes forward to council.
Okay.
Interesting.
This is the old Jehovah's Witness Hall on Port Robinson. It's recently been bought and is trying to be converted into a residential development. So as I understand it, the new owner will tear down the building and build a residential home to meet the conditions and the character of the street as it exists today.
I know where it is.
Okay?
Should be.
So we have some unresolved appeals currently at the board. And we have the town official plan, which is the aggregate policy, which I spoke of. We have the Village of East Font Hill mixed-use subdivision, which I spoke of, and I'll take you through that condition and that issue. And we have one that's 305 Canberra Road, the written consent appeal before the board. And we're waiting to get a case number on that and hopefully resolve that before it actually gets to the board. So just to bring you up to speed, in terms of the East Font Hill area, the condition actually revolves around this intersection, how it will be designed and the impacts on abutting properties. The town has had a few meetings with the landowners, and it's with the lawyers, obviously, because it's before the board right now. But we're hoping that we'll find a resolution to this, and it doesn't need to get to actual hearing, that we can have a compromise, and everybody will go away happy. We feel there's a lot of benefit with this development and with this intersection for the parties who are currently concerned about it. And once they understand the benefits that they'll receive, we think that will be resolved.
Excuse me, Mr. Director. Did you have a question?
Mark.
Yeah, didn't, at the last meeting, didn't the CAO, did you meet with them today? I thought you had a meeting with those guys today.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did meet with
Thanks.
the appellants last week. And I'll be updating council at a later time.
Oh, okay, yep.
Thank you. Carry on, Mr. Director.
Excuse me. This is the written application or that's been appealed to the board. The applicant wanted to sever the property at the front, which is rural commercial, and the back is agricultural. The problem with that is under the greenbelt, and this isn't in a settlement or hamlet area currently. We're proposing to the ministry that it should be, but at this point in time, it's not, and you can't sever new lots or create new lots in the greenbelt. So unfortunately, all provincial, regional, and town policies are opposed to this application, and that's why it's being appealed to the board. We're hoping that through negotiations and mitigations with the applicant, that we'll be able to find some kind of reasonable explanation or resolution to this, given that the cards are stacked against him, in my opinion.
Mr. Mayor, you had a question.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, it's really just for information. Just to update council, I did see Minister Bradley a couple of weeks ago. We had given a presentation to the minister about the Greenbelt and its impact on Pelham, including this issue and that one can't construct fire halls in the Greenbelt very easily. And so he indicated that Friends of the Greenbelt would be in contact, and they have been, and we're just trying to negotiate and get a meeting to meet with Robin Garrett, I think, who's the director for this area for that. So we're trying to progress on the other side as well to follow up on the resolution from council to ensure that Ridgeville is a hamlet.
Thank you for that information.
To add to that as well, I recently met with the region consultants who are working on the 5-year review of the region's official plan. And I expressed our concern that Ridgeville and even the connection between Fenwick and Font Hill has a lot of merit to being part of the urban settlement. So they're going to be hopefully pursuing and looking at that as well.
Great.
Some of the policy work that we're working on at the planning department is a downtown master plan, which have seen tonight. We're going to continue forward with that through an official plan amendment. The East Font Hill Urban Design Guidelines, again, you saw that the mixed-use commercial portion of that. We're also going to bring back a report next meeting to look at the overall East Font Hill area and treat it in the same manner. We're also looking at a comprehensive zoning bylaw, which we've initiated, but we're going to really focus and actively pursue early in the 2015 year. We were trying to tie up some of this East Font Hill stuff last year, and now we have an opportunity to move ahead with the comprehensive zoning bylaw. The Fenwick Master Plan, again, we've been working on that slowly, trying to get some of these other policies out of the way. Now that we have some time, we're going to be actively pursuing the Fenwick Master Plan. Again, we hope to have the comprehensive zoning bylaw and for the entire town and the Fenwick Master Plan completed by the end of 2015. That's our hope. The site plan approval manual and requirements, we're looking, we want to decrease the taxing and the burden on council in terms of site planning. So we want to create a criteria of matters that are of interest to the town and what we need to look at from a site plan point of view. So that council will be confident in planning staff that we've taken all your interests to heart, and when we review a site plan, we recommend approval that's what it should be. In addition to that, once we have that criteria set, we're going to be asking council to delegate authority to staff so that it doesn't need to come to you because the site plan is not a legislative public process. Is actually delegated typically to staff to review. But as long as we meet the criteria that council wants and the design is of good quality, I think that's possible.
I think that's good stuff.
Heritage inventory. We currently have 80 properties on our list of properties to inventory and to do, but we don't currently have the manpower or the ability to do that. So we're looking at our Heritage Committee and also looking at staff to see if we can come up with a way to get this inventory done. That's the big thing. Once we get these properties, a little bit of background history to them, once we get them on the list, we can then go to the properties and say, hey, would you like to be designated because there's benefit to you and also to the town. But we need to get that 80 properties designated first. That's or on the list first. We as well as part of typically we do a 5-year review of the official plan. I also in practice like to do a review of the conditions of draft plan approval and draft plan of subdivision, as well as condominium, as well as site plan. so that any new conditions that are perhaps out there, any new thoughts that other municipalities have picked up, we're incorporating into ours, so we have the best practice available to protect the town as well as give the developers the most leniency in terms of developing, which suits everybody's interest. And also, we're looking at a fee increase. We haven't had a fee increase in a number of years, and we're looking at proposing a COLA increase, the cost of living. We're proposing that because without the COLA increase, the actual tax base is actually subsidizing the development community. So we're just asking that it keep up with the COLA at this point in time. Other items of interest, we currently have an application, or not application, sorry, a proposal to the town for telecommunications on town property in East Font Hill. So we're looking into that, whether it's feasible or not to the town. The problem is, if we have it on our property, we can control how it looks, how it appears. But if we don't have it on our property, it could go right next door to our property and we have no control over it. Once a building's built, they approach the landowner and they can jump on that building. So
Carry on.
So we're looking to see if we can incorporate it into our land somehow. There's actually a rent to be had, as well as we can control the look and the function of it.
I see Councillor Rubiak has a question. Mr. Director, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we talking about a tower?
It may or may not be a tower. We don't know. If
It
it's
might
on our
be a
property,
tower.
we have control over it. If, a big F here, if it was a tower in our public area, it would not resemble a tower. It would resemble some form of public art. But we're thinking now it actually perhaps be on the back of the multi-use recreational facility building, or somewhere else where it's more hidden, so you wouldn't see a tower. It's perhaps hard to envision at this time, but we'll come back with a recommendation or a report to council to consider at that time.
Okay.
We'll look forward to that. Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The staff is far away from any determination on that issue. It's a discussion in its infancy, so I wouldn't want to raise an unneeded level of alarm.
Thank you for that.
We're very preliminary. I just wanted to raise your attention.
Relax, everybody, relax.
The nature of the wedge.
National Security's gonna put up a building out there in the back?
If I can add to that, though, the industry has told me that there will be a communications facility somewhere in this area.
Yes.
So we'll see how we can accommodate that as best we can.
Do we have a timeline on that, Mr. Director?
I believe they're gonna move very quickly, 2015, unless we give them indication that they're welcome somewhere with a certain building time frame.
I see. Thank you.
In 2016, we're gonna start hopefully working on it late in 2015, but in 2016, we're looking at updating our CIP manual and plan to make sure that we have the official plan and we have the comprehensive zoning bylaw, and make sure that the CIP fits within all these policy documents now. It's just basically an update to it. We're updating the filing system in the building department. We're scanning files, make them digital. We're also looking at employment land inventory. This is in part for the region as well as the economic development component of the town, to see what properties we have available so we can actively market it or at least give people the idea that there's lands there.
Mr. Director,
Wait, when he's done the slide, if you don't mind.
pardon?
When he's done the slide.
You may finish the slide.
We're also looking at fixed asset identification through the subdivision process. We're working with the town clerk to identify what that means, but we're hoping to have a requirement of subdivision approval, that a three-dimensional drawing come in that creates the assets so we can transfer that back into our planning, our municipal system without a lot of work from us. And finally, we're going to be bringing forward official plan and zoning bylaw, housekeeping bylaw, just to clean up different matters that have been typos or editing errors, or even minor improvements residents have asked for minor things to be done, and we can accomplish it through a housekeeping bylaw.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It actually goes back to the previous slide. And it's regarding the Fenwick master plan, and I wondered whether the director meant the East Fenwick secondary plan.
Yes.
Yes, is
Okay.
East Fenwick secondary plan. I apologize. I refer to it as the Fenwick master plan.
That's
My
fine. helping us break the logjam in the East Fawn Hill area was that we looked at it not just at those lands, but we looked at it more in a total makeup of how it fits and interconnects. So maybe that's why the director's using that language, and if so, I applaud him for that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's exactly correct.
Good line.
The active committees that we're, I won't go through them all, but we're an aggregates technical working group. These are all hosted by the region. The Niagara Waterfront Enhancement Strategy, although there's not a lot for the Pelham to take care of, we have the river. We're also contributing to that overall organization for our neighboring municipalities. Niagara Water Strategy we're working on. And of course, the Heritage Pelham Advisory Committee. In the building department, in 2014, we processed 289 permits in 2014 up to December 9th, and we had approximately 1,260 inspections done. We're also using a new technology in the building department that will be able to work in the field with our tablets and be able to provide notes, take pictures, and refer to code requirements on the site. As well as, hopefully, once we get up and going, the applicant will be able to submit drawings to the building staff remotely, so they don't have to necessarily come into town hall, and it will just increase customer service and the timing and review process. The department, again, will refill the vacancy of the building inspector in early 2015, and the building code has been updated. We already have the document, but it's taking effect in 2015. So the chief building official will be bringing a report to council for information purposes to advise you of these changes that the building code has. One of the major changes is the use of wood constructions in low-rise buildings. So we'll be bringing a report to a committee of the whole for that purpose. Finally, the chief building official has been designated or appointed as the drainage superintendent for the town recently, and some of the initiatives that he's currently working on through the Works Department. The town has an active petition for a new municipal drain called the Horton Street Drain.
Mr. Chair?
The town is.
Oh, you want to go now?
Yes,
I'm sorry,
please.
Councilor Rebecca.
Yes, just for the information of all of us, and perhaps note to be taken by town staff, that that drain ought not to be referred to as the Horton drain. And the Horton family doesn't want that designation. Perhaps a different name to it, perhaps the Balfour Street drain, some other designation needs to be found for that. I think it's only an informal nomenclature at the moment in any case, but I think that it would be wise to
Cease and desist.
to change it to something else, just to make a note.
Mr. Director.
To add to that, you're absolutely correct. I've talked to the chief building official, and he made me aware of that point. We put it on here in brackets because that's what it's previously known as, just for information purposes. But going forward, we will be using a different term for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Again, the town is currently surveying what's known as the Horton Drain for the watershed, and to prepare for report to council in 2015 on that as well. The town has recently maintained and cleaned the Swayze Drain. The town is currently resurveying the Ridgeville Drain watershed, and we've had a beaver problem at the Dishers Creek Drain, which we're currently working on. So unless there's any questions, I think that's the summary of the department for next year.
Committee members, any questions for our director in any areas of his presentation? Councilor Papp, I see you shaking your head.
All I can say is that, I'll wait till everybody's done. You got all this work. You need resources. I don't know how you're going to get this work done. And I'm not saying that to be, disrespectful. I'm saying it because there's significant items on here, and we need to examine the manpower and deployment and what we need to get this fulfilled. And I'm going to say that across the board because this has come up. And the question is, we've got to make sure that we fill positions that are vacant as quickly as possible with the best possible candidates that it crosses the board. And wherever you need to outsource, then leave that to the CAO and others. Access that expertise. Because we got, like we just mentioned, there's so much going on with East Font Hill and all that. I'm mesmerized because I know the intensity that goes into and the sophistication that goes into this work. So the help you're gonna need is gonna have to be there. So I'll wait and see, I wanna watch and see what others are putting forward as well. This is meant as a complement to build the resources and the strength of the team that we need to deliver. Especially, I'm thinking of one that I know Ms. Pupo's gonna talk about, customer service. You gotta have the resources to do that. Great job, I have to tell you, it's amazing.
Any other comments, questions? If not, we're going to let this poor sick man go home. Thank you for your diligence and your
The
stick-it-to-itness.
paramedics are outside, they'll be trained.
Thank you for tolerating me
Cancer
tonight.
report.
Don't touch anything, just
Yeah, don't touch anything,
Right
that's
down the
right.
keyboard.
Yeah. Carry our thanks back to the staff as well, please. Thank you.
Go, Nance.
Committee, we're gonna receive all of the reports with one motion, so we'll just go back to the beginning of our agenda now, and we'll
I was
receive the
more
clerk's
concerned about the Purell going around. I think
Yeah.
that's more important. Get better for the holiday.
We'll try to. I'll get some sleep tonight.
Yeah, what have you been doing, Nancy, all year?
Who's taking notes? Mr. Mayor, you're
Mr. Mayor, you
appointed.
guys, it's your
You're
pen in
appointed.
hand.
Get the pen going.
That's okay, I can take them too.
Madam
Mr.
Clerk.
Chair, members of council. Just a very quick overview on what the Clerk's Department has been doing all year and what we're planning for 2015. A lot of my presentation was, of course, part of the initial orientation for members of council in terms of meeting protocols and helping to orient new councils. Our department is what I refer to as small but mighty. We have 3 members in our clerk's department, myself, the deputy clerk Jordan Mamalidi, and our administrative assistant Christina Braun. Our main focus, of course, was the 2014 municipal election. That required us to prepare for over a year in order to bring a smooth election process to the residents and electors of the town of Pelham. That included recruiting some 90 to 95 election personnel, training them, developing the manuals for their use during the voting experience, and also to poll them after the voting day to ensure that we are always looking forward to providing the best experience for all stakeholders. That would be the candidates themselves, the election workers, but most importantly for the voters in our municipality. It includes preparing the ballots and ensuring that we send out what I like to refer to as invitations to all of our electors. We send out 100% invitations. We prepare for 100% voter turnout in the hopes to get about half to our party. The AccuVote training and testing is quite intensive, as members of council are aware, and that does take a significant amount of time. Of course, this year it was compounded by the ward boundary changes as well. That required us to work very, very closely with Municipal Property Assessment Corporation to ensure that all electors did get the correct notifications as to their new wards and voting locations. So that was all coordinated through our department. We develop all of the procedures under the Municipal Elections Act, and those procedures are at the discretion of the clerk, but we have developed them in consultation with area clerks and clerks throughout Ontario to ensure that we are also recognizing best practices. We are preparing for emergency situations. We are preparing for anything we can imagine that could occur on election day. In terms of voter turnout, as I said, we do prepare for a full 100% voter turnout, which in this case was 13,820. We did achieve almost half of that in that 6,127 individuals came out to vote at the advanced polls and on voting day. We are, of course, always looking at ways to improve the voter turnout. We have been developing some procedures for the 2018 municipal election that would include a registration for a vote by mail process. We have seen it used in a neighboring municipality where they use the same vote tabulating equipment that we do, but they have been able to offer some, I think it was about 50 electors, but at least they were able to offer that. Instead of using vote by proxy, they used a vote by mail system quite successfully. So we're looking into those procedures for the 2018 election, among other procedures to try and increase the voter turnout. Now, moving forward, unless anyone has any questions on the election event.
Anything with respect to the election event? Carry on, Madam Clerk.
As council is aware, the clerk's department has been quite heavily involved in the council inaugural ceremonies and the orientation processes, both the initial orientation as well as ongoing, and coordinating that with our staff. The citizen committee appointments are facilitated through the clerk's department. What that will also include is an orientation to the committee members once they have elected their chairs, or to actually conduct the elections for their chairs. And it will include a meeting protocols 101. We have done that so far for the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council, and do intend to do that for all of our advisory committees once they have been populated and established. The Committee of Adjustment protocols and procedures are also administered by the Clerk's Department. That will include the recruitment for the new committee members for Council to consider and appoint, as well as orient them on their role as it pertains to the Planning Act and their quasi-judicial function there. We are developing a handbook for staff liaison representatives with the committees. We're calling it our ABC guidebook, agencies, boards, and commissions. And that will help our municipal staff to help their committees in their role. So we are working on that as well. Of course, we are responsible for coordinating the policy manual updates through this Policy and Priorities Committee. And as policies are approved, recommended for approval by PMP and then forwarded to Council for ratification, we update all of the binders and ensure that those are kept valid and up to date. We have been working very diligently with a student this past summer to develop a bylaw database to eventually upload to our website so that anyone can access any municipal bylaw that is active and valid at the time. So you'll be able to search by keywords and by various different components. So that's very exciting for us. Accessible documents under the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, we are required to ensure that all documents produced by the corporation are produced in an accessible format. So we have completed the training for all of our municipal staff, and we will continue to work with staff as they develop these protocols moving forward. That is mandatory January 1st. Along with accessible documents, we also are required to provide for documents in alternate formats. That was highlighted in one of my council reports, and if there is monies left over from the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee, we would be using it to ensure that those accessible documents are able to be provided to people. It may mean that we have to translate documents into Braille or another method. So we want to make sure that we have the funding available to do that, because it is to be at no cost to the resident. We are always looking to improve our processes, and one of the focuses that we would like to particularly focus on this year is risk management improvements, developing some risk management policies, and of course we have developed a database over the past couple of years to try and track trends in risk management and claims, both claims being submitted. Are we trending? Are we looking at various contractors or situations, or we're able to monitor that and want to develop some policies along those lines. We are also trying very, very hard to get the training needed to become marriage officiates in the Clerk's Department. We can by virtue of office, but it's something that the Association of Municipalities of Ontario does provide training for, but they will only do it when you have a certain number that are willing to do it, because it's quite costly. So we are looking at that, because we feel that the town of Pelham provides a perfect opportunity for officiating marriage ceremonies, both here at the town hall, but now we have the new, the old Pelham Town Hall, Peace Park. So we want to be able to offer that service, as well as offering marriage licenses to the town of Pelham. And once we're able to give you a little more information on that, we'll bring back a report. And finally, we are investigating business licensing opportunities, and may present a report in the future to council to let you know exactly what that could look like, whether it would be business licensing that doesn't have a fee or that does have a fee. We'll look at all of those options and opportunities for council's consideration in the future. And then, of course, we will focus on council's strategic goals and directions as we work through the strategic plan together. So if there are any questions?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The policy manual update, certainly I appreciate the presentation by the clerk and her ongoing hard work. The policy manual updates, that's all paper. Do we envision that to be available on our iPads or electronically or something?
The
at some
policies are
point?
right now uploaded to what we refer to as our common drive in PDF format. We could certainly provide those to members of council as they're finalized as well.
I think, obviously, maybe not the old ones, Mr. Chair, but it would make sense to have the new ones on a policy piece so that if we can look back at them and those kind of things. The database, the bylaw database, appreciate the clerk saying that she wants to make it searchable, et cetera. Is that from the website?
Madam Clerk.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, we are hoping to be able to upload that through the website, a link through the website. I'm not computer savvy as some are in this building, but I understand that it is web-based. And so we just need to finalize all of the categories and be able to make it accessible from our website.
Okay, thank you. I think that's been a long-term goal, and I recall the Cobra software, I think, was for bylaws.
Yes,
years
we've
and
been
years and
through,
years
this
ago,
is our
so-
third iteration of the bylaw database, yes.
Okay. And then the final, Mr. Chair, is on the business licensing. I think that's a topic that we should bring up to our partners on our January 20th meeting. Does it fit with economic development in any way, shape, or form or not? So I would just ask councillors to kind of tuck that away in their heads as something we could talk about on the 20th of January. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, others? Councillor Pap.
Just quickly, thank you, Nancy, for all of your very, very professional work. The bylaw stuff is important, Mr. Mayor. Do you anticipate achieving that this coming year, to have all of that online? Because I know some municipalities, you can do that. You can go online, and you can access any of the bylaws. So do we have best practice models that we could look at that could help us to achieve that?
Yes, we will be working closely with our IT specialists, of course. What we want to make sure, though, is that the bylaws that are uploaded are the relevant bylaws.
Right
Because we
ones,
don't
yeah.
want to cause confusion where a bylaw may
Right.
have been amended or repealed, and then people are looking at or accessing
Fair
the
enough.
incorrect version. So we want to make sure that it is the correct version that is uploaded to the website.
Okay, good.
Anyone else?
And is the intent for you to perform marriages here, or
Yes.
is that the idea?
Yes.
But I would set a certain time during the day that you do not do that, because there are certain individuals who may be saying yes, and then the next morning realizing what they've done. Or unless we get a Vegas style that you can do yes, and then I can undo.
30-day warranty. We will actually be looking at more of a model that would have a bit of structure to it. So there, we wouldn't, it would be by appointment, and, there certainly would be some provisions there.
You know our clerks, you know it's going to have structure. Right.
It needs to be good.
There will be rules.
Councillor Riviere.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chair, and I also want to comment on the work that the clerk does and how well it's always done. But I am reminded as she went through her list, particularly around committees, that we still have some work to do around establishing common terms of references and roles for councillors and that sort of thing. And I'm just wondering how that work is going to tie in with the clerk's ambition with regard to this, and where are we on our efforts?
I believe there is some time set aside for Wednesday afternoon at the strategic planning session to ensure that our committee structures and terms of references are aligned with the council's strategic plan as it moves forward. So we'll be looking to forward that work.
Anyone else have
Excellent.
any comments, questions? I have one very brief question. You mentioned that we would be providing or able to provide accessibility documents if the Joint Accessibility Committee budget has money left over, are we not mandated to provide that in 2015, or is it subject to availability of funds and resource?
I'm sorry if I misled you there. No, we are mandated to provide those. I'm simply saying that there may be a refund from the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee general funds to each of the municipalities. And after having spoken with the treasurer, we've decided that it's probably a good idea to keep that money in a reserve should the need arise, because Braille documents, for example, could run as high as $75 a page. So we want to make sure that we have those funds available, and we're not looking to dip into the operating funds to do that. We want to have the money set aside and ready. We're hoping that, we're able to, we do have an interpreter who is available through the Joint Accessibility Advisory Committee that will translate the documents, but an alternate format could be different versions. It could be Braille, it could be something that's compatible on a computer for a reader. So we have a specialist that's available to us on that as well, but there may be costs. We need to prepare for that. So
Very good, thank you very much. Nothing further. As usual, thank you for your very comprehensive report, and please take our thanks back to your staff as well.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move on now to the Corporate Service Department. Madam Treasurer, floor is all yours.
Thank you. Welcome to Corporate Services. It's exactly as it states. We are a service department for the corporation and for all the other departments. On top of that, we like to look to the community and provide services to them as well. Our services include water billing, taxation, purchasing, accounting, payroll and benefits, and information technology. Some of the milestones that we have made in the last few years in the water billing department especially is the water meter replacement program. That program was a 2-year process, and it is ongoing, and it is continually updated and monitored to make sure that everything that we've done is keeping up with the standards and the trends out there today. Just some facts on the water billing system upgrade. We did replace over 4,000 water meters to a smart meter. We did implement also leak detection programs and backflow programs that have the result of the whole process has eliminated much of the waste in the system, and it has almost eliminated water shutoffs because of 2-month billings as opposed to 4-month. People are better able to budget their water billing process, and so that is some of the stuff that we're continuing to see on an ongoing basis. When we do the call-outs for a leak detection, we still get the residents calling us back saying, thank you so much for this. They are able to find where the leak is in their system and so forth. So that to me is great customer service. And then another milestone was the bulk water station. As previous council is aware, the stations were privately owned in the town with health regulations and accounts receivable billing issues. We decided to take this in-house and open up our own station. We essentially shut down the other private stations and allowed them access to our station. We now have over 10 water haulers accessing this site. The revenue has more than doubled at that site, and we also now can set the time limits for the water trucks. We can ensure the safety of the water trucks with the use of the Niagara region as a resource, and we just have better control over the overall bulk station as a result. Again, just on that, in the current processes, we continually monitor the water system with respect to the bulk station and also the water meter program. The bulk station water haulers have asked for a different way of accessing the site, so we have looked into that, and that'll be coming in the capital budget to council. The meter reader upgrade as well. We went from a 15 billing day cycle on each end of the water billing to about a 5-day billing cycle. We are now looking to shorten that up again with a 1-day cycle for water reads by having a site specific locally that can capture all the water meters in the town. And that's going to be something that's also brought forward to the 2015 capital budget. As council is aware, they endorsed an e-billing competition with the residents on the water system. That e-billing system itself went from 2% of those on e-billing to now over 13%. So it was quite successful in the first round of e-billing, and we're hoping to continue that on. Further correspondence and communication will be brought forward to council. on that. And then just our future vision, what we're looking for to streamline the process is what we have is our centralized financial management system has an online version for our users. Our ratepayers can go in and manage their own accounts, and that's something that we are currently working on moving forward with, and then constantly upgrading that system so that they get all the tools necessary to manage their own water billing account readings and so forth.
Perhaps we could stop there,
Sure.
Madam Director. Any questions with respect to the water system, water billings? Everybody good? Carry on, thank you.
Okay, next area is taxation. Some of the things that we've worked on in this area is there's a commercial capping component to taxation. Many municipalities outsource this. It can cost anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to outsource this. We managed to do that in-house ourselves, saving the town and the ratepayers that outsource fee. We also created processes for fair assessment, where I like to say we are looking constantly at the MPAC assessments that are coming in, comparing them to houses that are comparable in subdivisions or in unique situations, roads such as Effingham and Canberra, and making sure that MPAC has picked them up correctly. We notify them when we see anything that might be an unfair tax assessment on a home. And that's both ends, too high or too low. So the current process in taxation, again, is we are looking for more options for the customers. We've heard from some seniors that the first of the month is a better day than the last of the month because that's when the check comes in. Could we have a payment PAP plan for them for that? So, of course, we can. We'll do anything. If you're going to give me money and put it in the bank, we'll provide you with any resource. So we've opened up that option, but we are continuing to look in whatever the residents are looking for with respect to that, and whatever makes their payment process easier, we would be happy to accommodate. E-billing will be coming to taxation. It is allowed under the Municipal Act to send a tax bill to a email address. Our financial management system is releasing that in 2015, and we will be launching hopefully with a promotional avenue like we did with the water in 2015 as well. And again, on this end as well, we have the online account management system that's available through the Avadim Open, and we also have developed and are developing and streamlining a supplemental verification where the building department and the tax department work hand in hand to make sure that when an occupancy exists, we get the supplemental in that year because there's been missed supplementals, and we want to make sure that that growth is known in the year that it actually happens. So we're in the process of streamlining that. On the procurement side, just
Could we
one of the
pause for one moment?
Oh, sorry.
And I'm going to just do this
Yeah.
so that we don't have to keep flipping back.
Sure.
Any questions with respect to taxation? No. All clear? Good? Sorry, Madam Director.
That's okay. Procurement, just as council is aware, back in 2009, I believe it was, we did adopt an in-house procurement purchasing agent, and also instituted a town of Pelham procurement policy that was very innovative and streamlined the process of procurement while still meeting all the legislative requirements. So that was a major milestone. The procurement on its own found so many economies in the system with respect to competitive bidding and making sure that we had the proper quotations on everything. The current process is to continue that, always look for new trends in the industry. One of those things is with the fixed assets and the PSAB component coming on board, we are now in the process of making sure that the fixed asset is known at the time of procurement. So what we would like to do is when a construction tender is sent out, there is a sheet in there that says, here's the fixed assets that we will be giving the town, and in replacement of the ones that you are getting rid of. If it's water mains and they're coming in to do a road repair and the water reconstruction, they're going to tell us how many lengths of water main they're providing us and how much road width. And then we have all of that documentation in advance. It can be entered at the time of the procurement and then identified as an asset right away. So that is something that we're working on. And making the vendor a little bit more accountable to us on making sure that we know what all of the material assets are that are coming in-house. And then again, on that, we would like the purchasing link to the asset management. So when you go in and you set you're telling me you're going to buy a new vehicle and you're creating a PO for it, you're going to hit a button that says this is a fixed asset, and it's already going to link right into the system instead of a double entry. That's another process that we're working on. So in the future, what we see, what's coming is electronic tendering. It's still a little bit controversial because of the proposals coming in through electronic format. How do you ensure that they've reached the proper destination? But it is happening out there, so we are going to be looking into that and investigating, because anytime we can reduce the amount of paper we're using, we're benefiting everybody. And again, on that, we are looking to streamline some of the in-house processes for tendering documents and having fillable quotation forms and proposal forms and tender documents so that we can free up some of the time of the staff that need to give us specifications with respect to their tenders. So I will stop there if there's any
On
questions.
procurement, Mr. Mayor?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I don't know when we should talk about this. Maybe it's something we can talk about at another PNP meeting, but I know there were some questions from the public about procurement, especially the difference between a tender, which is pretty straightforward. Here's the candy cane, here's what you're designing, here's what it should look like, etc. Give us your best price, and then best price wins. Versus we're thinking of something to hang on the Christmas tree, whatever, that's edible. Which would be an RFP, a request for proposals. And some folks were confused about an RFP, which is awarded based on a score, but it also has to be within a budget amount. So I would just ask that maybe that's something that we should talk about at a future PNP meeting, whether there's a minimum score or something that's also included in that. So for instance, right now, it's just that, maybe I shouldn't get into it right now, Mr. Chair, but if there's, if it meets the budget and somebody still gets a 25% score, then the highest score, in theory, it could be tendered, so, or given to them. So I think it's something I'd like to talk about. I don't know if council colleagues would want to, but I think it needs to be clarified a little bit.
So perhaps it's something that, Madam Director, you could bring forward a report discussing the various levels of procurement, and then that would precipitate a discussion around the table as to whether we need different earmarks applied there.
Yes, through you. One of the things that I'm going to be bringing back forward and what staff are working on right now is a procurement update on how it's benefited us since we implemented it. And in that document, we can explain the differences. RFP doesn't mean you have to score, which is something that we've discussed before. It's a negotiating tender document or procurement document. So it allows you the flexibility of saying, we have a vision for something we want. We're not quite sure what it is, but when it comes in, you might have one offering a whole bunch of things and one offering not as many. So able to compare apples to apples, it gives you the right to go back to those vendors and get those comparable numbers. There could be a scoring system attached to it that's part of a process, and that will be documented in the communication to council.
Mr. Mayor, follow up.
Well, just on that, and I think looking at reporting of those, so we reported on a dollar amount, not the score amount for an RFP or the negotiated amount. It wasn't negotiated in that case, but, so it's something that we should
can
clear up.
discuss. Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilor Rubiak, you had a question. Is it around this?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir. Carry on.
Yes, it's additional feedback from the public,
Carry on.
if I may, and other that we heard. And just as a comment, our procurement process is extremely sophisticated, and it's very fair, it's very broad. It includes an awful lot of consideration of criteria that are extremely important, and I think that by and large it's accepted. The problem is that occasionally things happen that people don't understand, and as Mr. Mayor has indicated, kind of leads them wondering. And one of those things is I think that there's still the occurrence from time to time of local suppliers not being aware of tenders, not being made aware of the tenders, then feel that they didn't have the opportunity to apply, and then wonder why we selected higher prices from further away than lower prices currently. I don't know whether, I was given one particular example, I don't need to go into that here, but I think it kind of raises, in terms of future visioning, the need to look at how we make sure that the widest possible range of suppliers, particularly the local ones, are aware of what it is that we're tendering, so that they can respond and respond adequately.
So perhaps, Madam Treasurer, when you bring your update, you can comment on that, what steps you've taken to date to try and ensure that our local providers at least have an opportunity on all of our procurement. if you wouldn't mind. Then we can talk about that from there. Councillor Pap, I saw you had.
Yeah, I'm not going to, I think we need to go through some very basic steps, explain to us what the procurement, what the terminology means. I'll give you an example. There are things called expression of interest. There's RFPs, there's tenders. These are all things that need to be explained, how they work, how the evaluation criteria. I'm going through a process right now where even myself, who is pretty knowledgeable, I'm a little confused over how it's being applied, so that it's being considered, not here, but, in all fairness. So that is something, and whether, how you make that determination, who makes that determination, if it's staff, if it's a group, et cetera. So that'd be a very worthwhile exercise on a positive basis to improve what we've already got.
Sure.
I would prefer that.
So I think Madam Treasurer's heard that and what we've suggested, so we look forward to that report, Madam Treasurer. Carry on, please.
Okay. In the accounting department, one of the biggest implementations that we've done is this centralized financial system, management system throughout the whole organization. It was a very quick process, supposed to be about a year-long process. We had it done in 6 months, which was awesome, and I have to thank my deputy treasurer for that because she really worked hard on getting that implemented. So with respect to that comes the capital asset management plan in tandem, something that's required for the grant applications with the province and both province and federal governments. We are currently, we keep that as a living document. It currently needs to be updated. It currently needs new things added to it. We are finding out now it has to tie into the official plan. So that's something else that we're working on to make sure that that happens, working with the planning department on that as well. We've done the 2014 development charges bylaw, which was just completed. We've streamlined the budget process. I think council will see that as the 2015 capital comes in. We've made sure that the detailed sheets in behind have more information for council, that they tie into the visions of the strategic plan that council has set, and we streamlined it for the departments as well. One of the things that we've tightened up on, I know when in 2008, when I started here on the financial statements, it talked about internal controls, not all of them being met within the accounting department. We quickly tightened that up to make sure that they were all gone. There's no issues with internal controls in the accounting department. We're making sure that there's no overlapping of responsibilities in specific areas to meet all of the auditor's requirements each year. Current process, again, the fixed asset component is huge for the town. There's a lot of different hands touching the fixed asset component right now. We're working as a multi-interdisciplinary team to get that all streamlined so that it goes from cradle to grave with a very streamed approach, and it reduces the amount of work that's being done by many different departments on the same assets. We're anticipating that that is going to be a long haul project, approximately 6 to 9 months to completion. Again, the purchasing link to the asset management system, and we are currently in the process of adding the drain billing module onto our financial system, and we will be billing the drains, the 5 drains that we have out after the new year. Again, the future vision is electronic authorizations, for example. Currently, we do journal entries. They are handwritten or typed out on paper, and the paper's printed out. It has to be approved by me, and then it's entered in the system. The accounting system we've talked with their new module coming out. They will have you enter it in the system. You can attach the backup right there. If you have any backup, you hit send, and it will automatically upload to myself or the deputy treasurer, and we are able to approve without any other paper crossing hands. Saves amount of people touching it, and also the paper and resources. In payroll, again, we've streamlined a lot of the payroll processes with respect to how vacation was asked for, and sick time was taken off and so forth. We got rid of a lot of documents that were not necessary in the past. We've even tightened that up more, which I'll talk about. We also went to online third-party payments, so we can pay all of our Revenue Canada resources and WSIB online through a third party through our banking institution. It saves work or processes that required people to go right to the bank and cut a check separate and so forth. So it just tightened up that process as well. Currently, we are on the online timesheet reporting. It is going very well with the internal staff. They'll log in if you're an employee that is a regular full-time employee. You're just logging in to tell us that you went on vacation or you have sick time. The director goes in. They see all of the timesheets online and are able to approve them or revise them or talk to their staff about them. So it's a very, very efficient process, and we're very pleased with how it's gone forward. We are currently working on the year-end requirements with respect to getting T4s ready, OMER's information to them by certain deadlines. There's a lot of deadlines in the payroll department that need to be met before the end of February. And I'll get to the customer services in a second. And again, with payroll, we are looking to further the e-documents portion of it, and that we're hoping to link into the website at another day with the intranet possibilities.
Let's
Oh,
pause
I will
there.
stop there.
Anything with respect to accounting or payroll? All good? Carry on.
Information technology, again, IT was contracted out in 2008, 2009, and 2010. We did bring it in-house as we saw that the town technology needs growing considerably, and the time that was spent waiting for IT repairs or updates or whatever was becoming problematic, and it was slowing down work. So we brought IT in-house. I don't think the IT coordinator has sat since we brought him in-house because he's a very busy man. But one of the biggest things was the website revitalization that occurred and the success of that. And also he was a key component of the centralization of the financial management system. Currently, as I've indicated in some of my reports to council, he is working on remote access that it will be launched by the end of this year, if not early in the first of the year. Spam control, he has changed the spam filter on our server. It is now with a new host. You won't see the threat wall communications that you were typically seeing in the past. These are all now hidden in the background, and he filters all of it on one source. And then just releases things that he knows needs to be released. And we've not had any problems with it. He's continued to test it. And then he'll decide on whether he needs to provide it to all the staff to be able to decide if they want to open that spam or open that document or keep it in-house. But the best protection is for him to keep it on one central location so that an email is not opened by mistake and causes havoc through the system. The fax to computers is the next phase of the telephone communication launch, and that will be implemented early in the first quarter of next year. And that is to remove the fax machine that we have currently. We still have a fax machine at the town hall, and it is to remove it from town hall and have the faxes going straight to the individual's email or desktop and through their email. Much like we've got our phone voicemails to email, this will come in the same manner. And it will reduce the amount of, again, the paper, the use of the fax machine that we currently have. Wi-Fi, we are looking to do as much as we can throughout the town. The next step is Fenwick, and that will be going up as the project is coming to finalization. And again, enhanced website functionalities, some of the things that we're looking for with respect to intranet and the mapping of capital projects on the website and stuff are things that we're just trying to get all our ducks in a row before we come to council with a full report for them.
Anything-
Overall, sorry.
Anything with respect to information technology? Councilor Ribbiak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and thank you for this. Curious about the Wi-Fi throughout the town. My recollection is that some years ago, indeed, I think it was yourself, Mr. Chair, and I were talking about that as an initiative to undertake. And I think we were kind of warned off that by the huge price tag that was associated with it. And yet here it's happening. Are we just piggybacking on our own infrastructure? Is that how that's happening, or what's?
Yes, we're doing it the low-cost budget way. We're just
I see that.
as the projects come. What we've determined in Fenwick, for instance, if we're tapping into the infrastructure that's happening right now, the cost to have Wi-Fi out there is less than $6,000. So that's a cost that we can handle out in Fenwick. If we're talking, we're going into North Pelham, there's a lot of extra work in there. So what we're going to tap on is when East Fonthill comes to life and it starts to go, we will start putting some Wi-Fi hotspots out there. And you can put the auto Wi-Fi hotspot that'll bounce off other towers. Like in Fenwick, it will bounce off the tower tower that's at fire station number 2 and provide an extra section of area that's covered. So as much as we can possibly do, we would like to spread it throughout the town, but also cognizant of the cost of that as well. But council will be apprised of everything that we bring forward with respect to where we're looking to put new Wi-Fi spots. We did put another hotspot on the arches here. It was only about $900, and it opened up that whole area for when they're having the Christmas in Pelham. No issues with debit machines. So just little things like that.
Interesting.
I have one. Oh, sorry, Mr.
Sorry.
Mayor, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just about cloud computing and cloud storage. You don't have that on Future Vision. Are we moving in that direction at all?
Yes, sorry, it's coming in the capital budget. It is the remote servers that is being requested for this year. It would be on a cloud in a remote location, that our backup is there, so that it's not on site and we don't have to worry about the loss of the technology. I mean, currently with our servers and the cost of what's in that server room right now, we're just very cognizant of risk management on that, and having to make sure that if there's something that takes the servers down here, the staff are still able to work and there's no disruption whatsoever.
Okay, so you're looking at it. Good. Thank you.
Councillor Durley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, everything in life is moving electronic. Just read in the newspaper where the provincial government got hacked just last week. This is the one fear that I do have. The more we put on there, the more we're going to be targeted by these hackers, because they love to do things to disrupt us. What kind of protection guarantees are we going to have there, so that we're not going to get hacked, or any information that we do have cannot be intercepted?
That's really, Mike could answer that better than I could probably, but with respect to the email, I've talked to the IT coordinator many times about this. It is impossible to guarantee it, and no company could guarantee that you're not going to get hacked, and that's why there's spam filters and spam control. The biggest issue is opening an email that comes in, that spam, that has a virus connected to it, or going on to websites that might be infected, and those websites tend to be the social media websites and so forth. The content on the server is not a concern with respect to hacking. For the IT coordinator, it's more of a concern for damage and loss, water damage. This summer we had a issue with the air conditioner in the server room. That becomes a huge priority for us, because we need to make sure that the server room doesn't get overheated, and then it causes the servers to essentially shut down. So that was an emergency repair, obviously, but those are the things that he's looking at with respect to this cloud now. Is the cloud is the way to move with your information. So to get it out on the cloud, he's not concerned about that information content as much as he is about being hacked through the email. As we saw, we had some issues with email a few months ago with respect to that.
Okay, just wondering through you again, if somehow we could get some information from the IT expert, because you're looking at e-documents for payroll, you're looking at electronic authorizations, electronic tendering, and all that stuff. I just want to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a vulnerable position.
And the e-documents for payroll would just be internal to the internal staff, so there wouldn't be no risk with those with respect to information. But the e-tendering is something that certainly would be going external that we would have to consider. So I will have a report prepared for council and bring it forward.
Thank you.
Very good. Carry on.
Okay, so just overall in the department, we are developing our customer service standards, and the CAO has alluded to this in a past meeting. We are looking at measurement tools. For instance, how long will a billing take to get out? When is the leak detection report come out after that billing? So that if there's ever questions from the residents, we're able to pull out these standards and say, we meet these standards on a regular basis. Again, continued move to e-documents and processes. And that is internally just eliminating a lot of the paper that we still use. And the continuation of the centralized financial management system. I mean, the ease of a centralized system has been greatly received. For instance, if you have someone at the counter asking why they have a supplemental bill, in the past we could not look up the building permit on that location. We would have to go upstairs, get back to the resident at a later time. Now you can go in, get the information about the resident, look at their building information, and it'll say put a pool in, and then you'll say this is for the pool. So it's just one-stop customer service. It's improved the functionality of all the departments working together in that area as well. And then our focus is always on ways to improve customer service, and that's outside of the measurement standards. It's just how can we better serve the departments in-house here to eliminate some of the work and administrative work that they do by increasing efficiencies or technology or so forth, and the same with the external environment. So that's corporate services.
Anything else, committee? No? Madam Treasurer, thank you for your comprehensive report. And please express our thanks to all of your staff for the fine job that they do, and thank you for embracing the new technologies. And that's coming from a guy who's technologically illiterate. Okay, fire and bylaw. Chief, you're on deck.
Hopefully you're making money off our tower at Station 2 that we get credit for it. Just say.
Off of what?
Bouncing the signal off the tower.
What's money?
He wants rent for it now.
So he wants to charge rent?
He wants to register as a
Yeah, that's
telecommunications company.
Good evening. Fire and bylaw services, I won't be quite as long.
Thank you.
We have 3 stations in town. Station 1 has 35 volunteers in suppression. Station 2 has 30, and Station 3 has 21, so we have 86 firefighters total. We haven't changed those numbers in quite a number of years. Our increases in responses have quadrupled since I've joined the department, and they continue to increase year after year, and especially after listening to Terrence tonight, with the amount of development that's going to be going on in the next 5 to 10 years, our responses are going to continually climb. So, which is not a bad thing. It's we can handle what we have. So, the third line should be down into the future vision. Sorry about that. Should have been. I got that in the wrong spot. In 2013, the province through the fire college and through the ministry had decided to adopt the new NFPA standards, which is the National Fire Protection Act, and it's an American standard. They've been following it since the early 1900s. So we basically have done a 180-degree about-face on our education process in the province, and we're following these standards. In late 13, early 14, our department stepped up and we started to work on this accreditation process, and we are now right in the meat of it. And I would say that probably about 3/4 of our firefighters are accredited through the NFPA standards, and we're continuing to grow on the standards. There's many of them, so it's a continuing education process, but we have adopted that, and we are working towards continuing that. So as you know, new Fire Station 3 on Cream Street was opened in October and up and running, and the guys are very, very pleased. It's a hell of a boost for the guys morale-wise in that. So things in the future, we're looking at replacing an old pumper at Station 2. It's over 20 years old. It's no longer recognized under the insurance underwriters, and it needs to be replaced. So in 15, we'll be moving with a recommendation for that capital expenditure. Down the road, if as things increase call-wise, right now out of Station 1, we're running on our medical calls and our single truck calls. We're running a full-size truck, which is looking at $400,000 or $500,000 vehicle. Like to look at maybe a squad down the road, and squads are just small fire trucks. You can buy them for less than $200,000, $150,000 to $175,000. So looking for that just to handle the call volume. Station 1, we've run out of room. There's no storage. There's the east wall in the building is heavily, it's falling apart. There's a lot of frost damage in it. So we're down the road. We're looking at maybe adding a bay onto Station 1 to accommodate more equipment and give the guys more room for training and for storage. And if our call volumes continually increase and our times start to slide, and it really doesn't, it's not based on the amount of manpower you have in the station. It's based on your response times. So as long as you meet the provincial standards for response times, it really doesn't matter how many guys or how many less guys you have. So if our times start to slip a bit, then we probably look at adding a few more volunteers per station.
Committee, any questions thus far? Councilor?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm sure this is a question that has been studied thoroughly within the town, but just out of curiosity, I'd like to ask, with regard to all the development in East Fonthill and the location of Station 1, are we going to be good for that entire development with that station, or are we looking at some further development down the road?
Not a concern at all. If you look at the way we look at station locations and as far as response, really works on a 5-kilometer radius. So if you drew 5-kilometer circles around our town, we overlap nicely. And the distance from Station 1 to Rice Road, which is our boundary, is only, I would guess, 3 kilometers.
So no concerns?
Not an issue at all.
Good, thank you.
Any other questions? Chief, I have a question. With the growth in our town, do you see a point where we would need to take on more full-time firefighters as opposed to relying on a volunteer fire resource?
At this point, no. If you look at the 3 lines of defense set by the Fire Marshal of Ontario, suppression is the third. Education, prevention is your number 1 and 2 lines. I would say as our volume increases and our needs increase, the first area of increasing manpower would be on the fire prevention side of things and the pub education side. More of that office things, because if they've proven that if you do a good job in prevention and do a good job in prevention, your actual risk goes down quite a bit and your calls actually reduce. So that's the first 2 lines of defense. And if that, not that it fails, if that kind of saturates itself and we continue to get more calls and our times continue to get longer, then our 3rd line of defense is suppression. But as far as suppression crews, I think that what we have and the manpower we have, they do a good job. And I don't think we create any undue liability or any extra risk to the town.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's related perhaps to Station 3, but the recent tanker accreditation, are we going to be doing, you sent an email, I think it was today, are we going to be doing any PR on that? I note that if a resident inquires about the accreditation, they can get a copy for their insurance and it reduces their insurance rates. And part of that is because of the new Station 3. Part of that's because of the tremendous work of the fire service to show that they can do, essentially turn one of those things called portable ponds into, using it like a hydrant. So are we going to be sharing that with residents in the area covered by 3, et cetera?
Well, the superior tank accreditation was for the entire 3 districts, for the entire township. It also applies even in this, because we do have non-hydrogen areas throughout District 1 and 2, in Fenwick and so forth. The underwriters, when they come in and they do these assessments, and they do everything from the tanker accreditation, they also look at the years trucks. Like I mentioned, pump 2 needs to be replaced because once a truck hits 20 years, they no longer recognize it, which affects your insurance ratings. So rates are, I don't know all the numbers, but insurance ratings are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 3A, 3B, and so forth. So when an insurance company calls, they'll ask me questions, does the person live within so many meters of a fire hydrant? If you don't have fire hydrants, do you have the superior tanker accreditation? So when you, as a homeowner, apply for homeowner insurance, they look at these values, and that tanker accreditation puts us on a certain line. We shouldn't have residents calling us looking for discounts in their insurance. Either their insurance rates are going to maintain where they are, or the people moving into town will get better rates. But if there are people, well, my recommendation is they take the letter that I sent out today and they hand that to their insurance companies and they ask them, do I have any credits coming? So they might not.
I guess I'm
Chief,
just looking for PR on it, right?
Yeah, the gist of the question, Chief, was do you envision a PR program to put it out there to let our community know that this letter is available to them if they should, or can we put it up on the website
Put it
that
on
they
the
could
website.
access?
Certainly, we could put it up on the website and we could put it on our front screens.
Okay. Does that meet your
Yeah,
thought, Mr.
I think
Mayor?
it should get out there if
Yeah, I do too.
we can
Could
consider
Anna do
doing
a
some
press
PR on it.
release? Yeah, so So Anna could do a press release, and then we could put it up on the website so that they could
Right.
download it and print it
Yep.
and take it to their insurance company.
Yeah, we just have to be careful how we throw that out there, because you
Right.
have, hundreds of people running in their front door looking for these
Yeah.
credits, and they already have them.
Right, right.
So,
The relationship
for
is
the
between
clarity.
them and their insurance company,
Yeah,
not us
right.
and the,
Right.
yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the chief here? Carry on, chief.
Fire prevention, we deliver that through a full-time fire prevention officer, Saskia, which most of you have met. The new legislation in the province now that CO alarms are required in every residence that has a fuel fired appliance or an attached garage. And that's going to be kicking in April of 15. And we are going to have a very strong education program on that. We're not going to go the enforcement way right away. We're going to give people a grace period. We're going to work with them. We're going to do home inspections. We're going to have a few promotional things there. So we're not going to be running out giving tickets to people, but this is a very serious legislation. We lose a lot of people in the province annually because of CO poisoning. So we're going to be working on that throughout the year. Our care occupancies, one of the highest risks that we have in this town is our care occupancies, our old age homes, as we once called them. There's new certification required by the province. Both Saskia and myself have obtained that certification. So, and it's a legislative requirement, and we'll continue working with the care occupancies to meet those risk management issues. Local school education, we're into the schools a lot. They're still going to the Safety Village, participating in a lot of different activities. As you know, the fire prevention put, along with E.L. Crosley, did a play, and they presented it to all the local grade school kids. Fire Prevention Week, we're out there and about with that, with our smoke alarm program, knocking on doors, and we'll continue to do that, sending trucks around. We're participated in a pizza promotion this year with Massimo's Pizza. You ordered a pizza, we delivered it with a fire truck. If you let us come in and inspect your house, we got free pizza. We got to do a free fire inspection, made sure they were compliant, and that type of thing. Emergency planning, we've instituted that through the help of Vicky's department. Anything large assembly in the town, or any function in the town that has a large assembly and has potential risk, we've implemented emergency planning, and they have to fill out actually a document to meet those risk management guidelines. Future vision, we're going to increase our fire prevention and pub ed awareness. Paula Park, my administrative assistant, starting in the spring of 15, she is going to start to go to the fire college, and she's going to take pub ed. And I'm going to start using her as in some of the pub ed things in the school. So, and she's pretty eager about it, so I'm pretty excited about doing that. So that's fire prevention.
Anything? We're good? Carry on, chief.
Bylaw services, as you know, is we took that on in January 1st, 2013. It's been quite a turnaround in that service. We've really focused on education and working with the residents. We've gotten away from the enforcement part. We do issue tickets, and we do enforce certain things, but we've really focused on the education part. We've since taken over the pool and the sign permits from the building department. So the pools, we take it all, the intake, we process and we issue and we inspect. With the sign permits, we do every sign that doesn't require a building permit. So a ground sign, anything below 9.84 feet, some small signs, we do the permits for that. Anything large that requires a building permit, building department still does the sign permit side of things. We're going to continue to work with the public. We're going to be out in the public more and more. We're going to continue to work with pushing our programs on them, handing out flyers, letters, working with people. Craig is quite engaged with all the different departments, and he likes to come out to all the different functions and nighttime, whenever. And he's pretty front and center. So Anything on the bylaw?
Carry on.
That's an area that's always.
Parking enforcement, we discontinued services, shared services with Waynfleet and West Lincoln. We now do all the administration of the parking is standalone in the town here. In 2013, the province dropped the provincial offenses offices. They closed the courts for any ticketing for $100 and less. So we developed a AMP program, which is Administrative Municipal Penalty Program. We issue tickets, we process them, and we actually hear them. And part of that program is Nancy, our clerk, is the reviewing officer for us. So if you want to fight a ticket, you go see our lovely clerk, and she'll be the bad person.
And you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beauty about this program is it's all in-house. We get 100% of the revenues, and we don't have to send people to court. We don't have to pay any regional prosecuting fees. It's very cost-effective, and it's a lot less maintenance on our part. Winter operations, we've changed that. Up until this year, the only winter operation bylaw or parking enforcement we had was if you parked on the road between 2 and 6 in the morning. Last year, council approved the new bylaw update, and now basically if a plow is on the road and you're impeding its progress, you're getting a ticket. And that's basically what, so that's 24/7 around the clock. We haven't actually issued any tickets yet. For the first few months of the year when Al's guys rode on the road, Craig is running with them, the plows, and we're issuing warnings, and we're giving information, we're educating the public on trying to keep them off the roads, and so far it's worked pretty good. We haven't run into too much objections to it, so, and we're going to continue to work with them. So if any of your residents are coming to you, if there's a sander, a salter, or plow on the road during winter operations, doesn't matter regardless of what time of day it is or what day of the week it is, if you're impeding its progress for doing its job, you quite possibly could get a ticket for it. Parking again, we've really focused on the education part and mediation part. We've had some problems downtown a little bit, minor problems downtown with some of the store owners and the parking issues. We're working closely with Al's department. We've moved some signs around, we've moved some balusters around. I think we've kind of overcome most of those problems. So, and we're working with the residents with their complaints, working at it. So, future vision. Customer service again, and possibly electronic tickets and paying the tickets online through our treasury department. So that's it.
Any questions? Committee? No? Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much. Comprehensive report. Next up will be Mr. Mantle, Public Works Director.
7 minutes.
3 minutes.
I'm retiring. Thank you. Good night.
That's right, I'll just say, see ya.
Public Works, sometimes considered the more glamorous of the municipal departments.
You've been trying to indoctrinate us with that view anyway.
Down arrow.
Public Works is broken into several components. Roads, water, wastewater, engineering services, cemeteries, facilities, parks and recreational services, municipal drains. Under the roads component, that's primarily a maintenance type issue. Fleet is also under that. It's dealt with out of the operations center. It deals also with road patrols, ensuring that we maintain our minimum maintenance standards. And again, it's primarily maintenance, not a lot of the heavy duty type stuff, driveway culverts, that sort of thing. That's who you would see typically along the roadside doing that type of work. Water, wastewater, maintains and monitors water systems to legislated standards. The town is, all municipalities in Ontario are heavily regulated with respect to their drinking water systems. I've spoken in the past about quality management, and I know how much everyone enjoys hearing about that. Probably we'll have a session early in the new year with council just to raise some awareness about your responsibilities and your duties under the quality management system and the legislation in Ontario. So that's something to look forward to. Infrastructure maintenance. Staff also, again, going back to the quality management system, there's requirements under that legislation and under the standard to maintain the system and follow our operational plan, which council has approved. The quality management system is maintained, like the paperwork and that sort of thing is maintained by engineering services, myself and the supervisor of engineering. I'm certified with respect to that legislation to be able to do that sort of work. Engineering services, we deal with project management under that, tender preparation. It's all the contract services you see out there along the roads, Port Robinson Road, Highland Avenue reconstruction, any of those sort of things are dealt with out of engineering services. In addition, the major contracted services such as the roadside mowing, the sewer flushing, all those types of projects. They're generally capital type items, or in most of the case they are capital type items. Cemeteries, there are 3 cemeteries, 2 of which are active, 1 is inactive. There's interments, interment preparation, grass cutting, that sort of maintenance goes on at the cemeteries at this time. Facilities, building maintenance, we have a facilities manager. She deals with project management, energy conservation, all those types of activities. Parks and recreation facilities, again, cemetery operations are dealt with from that base. The arenas maintained, tree maintenance, flower beds, playground inspections, pool operation and maintenance. Municipal drains, we provide a support role to the drainage superintendent now that he's in-house, and we did that also before with the more or less the Wayne Fleet arrangement.
Whoa.
Oof. The hell was that?
We let the administrative assistant move ahead with the certain ideas. She got a little bit carried away.
Press it again.
Have,
You need to press it again.
hold her back.
Press it again.
There we go.
You went through all this.
Roads, major activities, again, regular maintenance, including driveway culvert replacements, and you can see some of our activities out there. One of the combination plows, sander units, repairs to driveway culverts, and patching potholes. Again, in accordance with the minimum maintenance standards, we maintain the roads to those standards. Again, just a little bit of inventory on the information on the amount of kilometers of roads that we maintain, sidewalks that are plowed, that sort of thing. 240 kilometers, usually measured as lane kilometers, which would be double that, so it's 480, because you don't just drive down the road once, you drive down twice to plow that road. Winter operations are underway from November 1st to March 31st. They, again, you don't know when it's going to happen. It's something that needs to be ready. You need to be ready for it any time. Overhead maintenance, that refers more to fixing up the damage that's caused during the winter maintenance activities. Road signage, signs are constantly turning up missing. You can almost go at any time and find signs missing, and again, it's vandalism or theft, and we replace them as quickly as possible. Respond to resident concerns, again, there'll be dead animal on the roadside, that sort of thing, a pothole or some sort of an issue with the road. Future priorities, ensure that equipment and staff match the maintenance needs. Again, it's a constant changing world out there. Again, we took over snow plowing of the sidewalk system over the past couple of winters, and that required specialized equipment to do that work, and I think we have almost the right mix right now.
Can we pause there, Mr. Manno? Any questions with respect to roads? If not, also, committee, I see we're approaching our curfew. I need a motion to suspend the rules of procedure, and that the specified meeting curfew time of 10 o'clock be and is hereby waived, and that the remainder of the business listed on the agenda continue to be considered until all matters are concluded or until 10:30. Which would you prefer? Or whichever comes first, I guess. I need a mover and a seconder.
I say it seriously, I reluctantly move.
Councillor Papp, thank you.
Just schedule things.
Do we have a seconder?
No, go ahead.
Councillor Ribbiak. Thank you.
10:30 at the latest, if we're not done by 10:30?
Yeah, I'd like to make an amendment to that because
But
the new business, which is departmental priorities, which we are doing now,
Yes.
the old business is input on the 2015 budget. I think to have that at this late hour, since we started at 5 o'clock, is a mistake. So I would like to go to new business completion or 10:30, whichever comes first, and we'd have to reschedule the old business budget.
We don't, we probably at committee, we don't need a seconder for that.
we don't need
No,
to do
that's
that.
true. Forgot.
And we can call the amendment?
Just,
Yes.
there is also the in-camera piece from council that if we can have 10 minutes for that, and how long the CA would take for that, but, so let's just
For CA,
be
what's
mindful.
your thought?
It can be done anytime.
Is it pressing?
No,
Okay.
it's up to council, but it's
Okay.
not urgent.
No. Okay. Are we pleased with that? So that
Sure.
Councillor Durley's amendment would take us to 10:30 or up to the completion of new business, and we would not continue with the
The in-camera.
the council meeting with the in-camera session. Is that clear? Call the question on the amendment. Okay, carried. Now to the motion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Director. Carry on, please.
Water and wastewater. Again, just give me a little bit of update on the inventory of the water distribution system and the sanitary sewer collection system. Again, and I'm sure you're aware of this, we reported on it in the past about the auditing, the internal and external auditing, the inspections that we go through on an annual basis. And happy to report in 2014 there were no issues with the system. We were in complete compliance with all requirements of the legislation. The town has this it has an active replacement program for the cast iron water main system that it's usually in combination with any kind of road reconstruction. We don't simply just start digging up the water main. We'll identify it as part of a much larger project. Again, maintaining and monitoring the water distribution system to the drinking water quality management system standards, and again, that's a legislative requirement. Weekly samples are collected to ensure that the water is safe, they're tested, and for the various contaminants. And also service and water main installation inspections are completed by the department. Your sewer system collection is flushed and video inspected at least once every 3 years. That's a contracted service administered by the engineering services component of the department. We're trying to increase that inspection process to once every 2 years to just as more of a comfort level to ensure that there are no blockages or backups, that sort of thing. Do water main break repairs as part of that's a function of the staff of the water distribution system. Future priorities identified for the wastewater system, including flow monitoring to determine if actual flows exceed the theoretical flows. That monitoring is currently underway in a small part of the system to see if there are any problems with it. I believe in our capital budget for 2015 we have additional flow monitoring identified to carry on throughout the entire system. Again, continue with that cast iron water main replacement program. It pays huge benefits in water quality and customer satisfaction with respect to reducing the number of breaks and inconvenience to the customers.
You could hold there, Mr. Director, please. Councillor Durley, you have a
Thank you,
question?
Mr. Chair. Just through you to the director. You give us a number of cast iron water mains. What length of cast iron do we have left
I
approximately?
think it was 15,000 meters or thereabouts.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions with respect to that? Carry on, Mr. Director, thank you.
It doesn't say meters, it says cast iron.
Engineering
elements.
services,
I asked a lot.
major
Oh, so it's the
activities.
same.
The engineering function includes a supervisor, construction inspector, engineering technologist, and administrative assistant.
15991, but it doesn't say
Again, we
meters.
design
Meters, yeah.
and administer the construction and implementation of capital projects throughout the town. Projects that are too large for the engineering services staff to deal with are requests for proposals for design and contract administration. Then we overview that work in the field, such as Port Robinson Road right now. And administers the regulatory requirements related to the Pelham distribution system as they're related to drinking water quality. Project management contracted services, again, that roadside mowing, street sweeping, sanitary sewer flushing, all those are administered out of the engineering services. Tender preparation in conjunction with the purchasing coordinator, construction surveying to determine, to prepare the base plans for these, the engineering projects, road designs based on the surveying that we complete, and site inspections of the completed design. Again, respond to residents' concerns as well as requests for information. Where's my water service, where's my sewer service, that sort of thing. Again, back to implementation, updating of drinking water quality management system. It's a necessary, it's constantly evolving, it changes monthly almost with the changes to it. We have to make sure that it's updated, ready for any kind of internal audit or external audit. Again, communicate with contractors and consultants. Future priorities. Include regular monitoring of all engineering functions through the maintenance of current infrastructure inventory management. We maintain an inventory of the entire system.
Any questions? Carry on, thank you.
Oh, again, another priority is the, sorry, I missed that, LED lights. We're looking at the LED lighting system right now, replace the street light system. To the light emitting diode type, we've already met with a couple of service providers, and it requires, we'll investigate the business plan for that. It looks like it's all positive. Reduction in maintenance costs for short-term and long-term, as well as a more efficient system. Saves energy costs. Probably likely reducing them by approximately 40%, I would think.
Mr. Chair, just on that, glad to hear that, because I think when councils raised that before, it was sort of at the bleeding edge of the technology. So glad to hear that technology has stabilized and there's a possibility that there's a good payoff. Thank you.
That's correct. We also will be taking delivery of 5 new streetlights for Effingham Street, which will all be LED lights. So those will be our first kind of real installation where you can see what they do on the street. Like it's Effingham between Canberra and Highway 20.
Excellent. Mr. Chair,
Sorry.
just very quickly, is that what's going into Fenwick as well?
Those are not LEDs, no.
No.
No, high pressure sodium. It's tough to get the decorative type lights in an LED light, is my understanding. They may be out there, but I haven't seen any. And getting the specific design that we want to use out there, I don't think they're available.
Just sometime in the future?
Yeah.
Mr. Mantle, is there any grant money available from the various hydro suppliers for converting to LED in the public realm?
There is, and we haven't investigated that far yet as just to see what all those are, but there is money available, and there's numerous service providers out there all interested in providing the service to us. So it seems to be quite the growing market. And other municipalities have already done it. Welland's done it. Port Colborne's just recently done it. So I see it as the next step.
Great, thank you. I'm converting my buildings.
Just going back to the cemeteries, I briefly touched on it earlier. There's 3 cemeteries, Hillside and Fonthill are the active cemeteries. They're both approximately 4.5 hectares in size. Hanser Cemetery, which is located on Metler Road, down by Bizzle's Hideaway, is inactive, and but the town maintains it. Okay, there's a summary of what we do out there. Interments, grass cutting, just the regular type maintenance you would expect at a cemetery. There's also the mausoleum at Fonthill Cemetery and a niche wall, which again allows for cremations and full burials in the mausoleum. Future priorities, paving of driveways for accessibility improvements for visitors. We started that this year at Hillside Cemetery.
Okay. Carry on.
Facilities, major activities. This component is administered by the facilities manager. She deals with building maintenance, again, project management, new construction renovations. She dealt with Fire Station 3 construction, Old Pelham Town Hall. Those types of projects are where she is heavily involved. Future projects include an accommodation study for the municipal building. Council approved that project to move ahead, and we're working on the request for proposal at this time. Future priorities, energy conservation, and preventative maintenance. Again, looking forward to whatever's out there, what needs to be fixed before it breaks down on us.
Thank you. We have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Where does does life cycle cost fit in on this? I know that the staff person is working on, I forget what it's called, but essentially an assessment of each of the facilities.
Yes, I believe we already...
A maintenance schedule and all that other stuff. Are we looking at life cycle costs to maintain those facilities?
I don't know if we're so much looking at the life cycle costs at this time. We are looking at the condition of the buildings at this time. And what needs to be done from that perspective. I think it's more of a...
Okay. The treasurer says we're going to tie them in, is that correct?
Oh, okay.
We've been working with Kim to tie in life cycle
There'll
costs.
be a component to that, I would assume, at some point.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything further? Carry on.
30 seconds if I could ask. Alan?
Yes.
Is the idea to get the accommodation study done this year for this building?
It won't be done this year. It'll be early in the new year. We're just moving ahead with the request for proposal.
I mean for 2015.
Oh, yeah, 2000, yes, of course,
Okay,
yeah.
good. All right, that's it.
Parks and recreational facilities. Again, it's all the standard things, the tree cutting, the tree maintenance. Again, that's smaller trees, not the big trees, but that's a contracted service administered by the engineering services. Arena operations, flower beds and hanging basket maintenance, and maintenance and inspection of the 9 playgrounds. Regular maintenance of sports fields, again, that's cutting of grass, the maintenance at the pool, Old Pelham Town Hall, and the arena. Future priorities, again, managing trees seem to be the biggest deal anymore. Lots of interest in residents in maintaining the forests, the woods that we have, as well as making sure that everything's safe. Again, management of wooded areas to ensure the trees are maintained, replanting of trees where they're removed. And that includes boulevards as well as any of the forested areas.
Anything with respect to Parks and Rec? Carry on, Mr. Mann.
Municipal drains, the major activities with respect to the drains, there are 6 municipal drains. They'll now be administered in-house by the drainage superintendent, and engineering services staff will assist with respect to any kind of surveying, logistical assistance, what have you. The intent also is to cross-train staff, send at least one engineering services staff person off to municipal drain school to be available for, again, succession type planning as a backup person when the drainage superintendent's not available. And the drainage superintendent we have, it would be a good mentor for him in that transition period.
Very good. Anything with respect to drains? Councilor Rubiak?
Yes, just a comment. It would have been nice to have identified the potential for drainage committees as a future priority.
Yes, my mistake. Should have had it on there.
Thank you.
The end.
Thank you, Mr. Mantle. Thank you for your comprehensive report and
Last time,
for your
Alan, we're gonna,
extensive services to our community. Please express our thanks to all of your staff, both inside and outside. Thank you.
Okay, no time.
Move on to rec.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I know.
Not 50 pages, is it?
No, it might be 75.
Something like that.
And then the amount of talking she's capable of.
Hit the highlights.
Okay, welcome to Recreation, Culture, and Wellness. She left the best to last.
There you go.
Normally, I have music in my slide presentations, but unfortunately tonight, I want to show everyone up. So our team, as you know, we had a reorganization. We had a coordinator in which we've added to the team and eliminated that position. So it's myself as the director, Shayla Matherall as the admin assistant, Julie Cook, recreation wellness programmer, Sally Yeager is the special events and festivals programmer, and Jody Hendricks is the culture and community enhancement programmer. The team actually got together finally by November, I guess. So we've been going through some training, and what do? Basically, we strive to enhance the quality of life of our residents by offering quality, accessible, and inclusive parks and recreational services. We develop the development and expansion of cultural festivals, events, programming, builds partnership opportunities with private, public, and not-for-profit agencies, resulting in a vibrant community for all ages. Basically, we work with the community as much as possible to do the best we can. Recreation and wellness. To date, in 2014, we've had 5,697 residents participate in our programs. That's registered participants, and this is just shows the camps, and that's a specialized bike camp, and that's a public skating there. The aquatics program at the pool, we employ 12 local students as lifeguard instructors. We offer group and private swimming lessons for all ages, life-saving training. We have a competitive swim team, which is the largest in the region. We have normally 90 members on the team. Public swim, aqua Zumba for all ages, and also we offer private rentals. The arena, we do all the facility allocations for the ice, including for the hockey, figure skating, private rentals, schools. We offer men's and women's shinny, learn to play hockey for women, which has become very popular. Public skating for all ages, the community hall and facility rentals for private and public events, such as the home show and the art festival. Our camps, we employ 12 local students annually. We start off with our March break camp. We have weekly and daily summer camps, specialized camps, the bike camp, theater, and art and theater camps. You're the chef camp and sports camp. We have a triathlon club that is for youth. It's become very popular, in which the participants then go on to Ridley College and participate at the end of the season. We have a playground program that we offer as a drop-in service, and we have a leaders in training program. Fitness-wise, we offer the Zumba classes at the hall, Arena Hall, plus Aqua Zumba in the summer at the pool. We have walking clubs throughout the whole season, including Nordic walking and so forth. Some new programs for 2015 now, since we have a hall at the Old Town Hall. We're introducing ballroom dancing starting in January, and we will be implementing pickleball. And that as soon as we find a facility. Right at the moment, we're having issues with the gymnasiums. There isn't anything available, although we could be using the multi-purpose courts in the summer. Community events. The department engages community volunteers, residents, service clubs, and local businesses to bring to life our many special events that is the Easter egg hunts, and of course the annual Canada Day parade. Annual events include the Easter egg hunt. Last year was our first crack at the supper market, Canada Day and the Heritage Tea, of course Summerfest, Christmas in Pelham, and the outdoor Christmas market. We also assist with the farmers market and the bandshell concerts and the Santa Claus parade. This year, Summerfest, the attendance over 14 days was 18,000, a little lower than usual, but we had rain all day on Saturday. And the outdoor market, which was held, I guess, a week ago. And we had 1,750 people come through. So we were happy with that. And our sales were much higher. So, and then we have special events, and they normally occur as they come. So, of course, we have the Fenwick anniversary. That was the latest, and when our Lieutenant Governor General David Onley visited the Centennial Park, we hosted that, and of course our Aviva presentation. Park and facility development. We meet with our user groups on a regular basis to ensure that the facilities needs, their facility needs are met. In 2014, as you know, we developed a full-size soccer field at Centennial Park. We lit Diamond 2 at Centennial Park, and Diamond 3 was developed. Community enhancement.
Madam Director,
Oh, I'm
we have a
sorry.
question.
Quickly, Vicki, what are you doing at Harold Block? Are you replacing all the, I see extensive work going on
Yeah,
there.
two things are going on. We're replacing the limestone with
Right.
clay infield, as well as there's fence work being done, backstops and line fence.
Building a senior's home.
Building a seniors home, right?
For the
Anything
Grants
else?
homes.
Thank you. Carry on.
I could do that.
Community enhancement, of course, we work with Active Transportation Committee, which you know are very aggressive. Communities in Bloom Committee as well. And no matter what we do, we always work with the public. Right now, it's the Community Centers Committee that we're working with, and going through the problem-solving process as well. This over here is the skate park committee in developing the location and everything. So it's basically we work with the public. Awards and recognition, we try to go after anything we can. Parks and Recreation Ontario, we received the Excellence in Design Award for the 2011 for our playground replacement program, and in 2014 for our Isaac Real Memorial Skate Park. And we just recently received the Bronze Walk Friendly Community designation, and in 2013 the Silver Bicycling Friendly designation. Promotions, we promote our trails through our trails map that was just recently updated through a grant through the ministry. And of course our biannual community guide. And we are working on, it came to mind while I was waiting, the policies that we are working on and will be brought to council in the near future is we're working on a public arts policy, as well as the municipal concussion policy. We're working with public health and the ministry on that, and a volunteer recruitment and management policy. Something else that I didn't mention was we are in the process of implementing ActiveNet, the recreation software program for camps and facility reservation. And of course, our 2015 goals are implement strategic plan initiatives as set by council in 2015. As I said, we go after grants as they come available. We're always watching for them. And the cenotaph restoration at the Old Pal Town Hall, we were fortunate in working with the Veterans Affairs and getting that approval. We continue to enhance community events. As I said, we're offering additional programs, as well as continue to implement the culture master plan recommendations. This year, we're going to run a theater series at the Old Pelham Town Hall in the afternoons for the seniors. And as I said, we continue to investigate funding opportunities to enhance the community. And I believe that's it.
Thank you. Any questions of our director with respect to her report? Any aspect of it? Councillor Papp, did you want to say something?
Vicky, I think you should name it ballroom dancing, dancing with politicians. Instead of dancing with the stars, we should have a competition amongst the stars.
That's great.
It's not dancing with a bureaucrat. I'm
No dancing with bureaucrats.
I just have one question. Do you have a question? Councillor Ribbiak, go ahead.
No, I was going to point out that, of course, next year we're going to have community gardens as well.
Yes, we are. Yeah, community
That's an
gardens
interesting
and as well
exercise
as
to have gotten
the
there.
Comfort Maple
Yes, indeed.
Right?
trees. Yep.
I have one question. What is a pickleball?
Pickleball is actually it's a seniors version of tennis. It's a very slow and it's hot.
So I could
Everyone
probably
wants
sign up.
pickleball now.
I could probably sign up for it.
Oh yeah,
Make
you're
the
in.
team.
Even Al Mantle could do it.
Retirement jokes begin.
Thank you, Madam Director, for your comprehensive report.
Yes.
Please thank your department for all their efforts. Committee, I have a motion made by Councillor Gurley, seconded by Mayor Augustine, that the departmental priorities reports for the following departments be received for information: the Clerk's Department, Corporate Services Department, Fire and Bylaw Services Department, Public Works Department, Community Planning and Development Services Department, Recreation, Culture and Wellness Department. Call the question. All in favor? Show a little more enthusiasm here, eh? This is my first time in the chair. Come on.
Two hands up.
Come on, get with the program.
Yeah, I'll cheer at adjournment, don't worry.
And that is coming up. I have a motion by Councillor Durley that the Policy and Priorities Committee stand in recess to reconvene at a later date to complete the balance of the agenda. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion is carried. This meeting stands in recess.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job chairing.
Thank you. Wow. Appreciate that.
There's a hell of a lot of stuff in that.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. It's all fun.
Nancy, can you shut off the video?
As soon as I get back to my main menu here.
This one doesn't get down.
Team of directors and the CEO that absolutely love what we do.